Welcome back to Meet in the Lobby. This is the podcast where hospitality meets innovation.
I'm Dorien Murphy.
And before I introduce myself, Dorien, I miss your NPR voice.
Oh, sorry.
Can we
I'm
try that
Dorien
again?
Murphy. Yeah, I'm Dorien Murphy.
There we go. And I'm Melissa McCormack. Too funny. Thank you for humoring me, Dorien. I have a question for you before we get started. And it's kind of an odd question. I'm just curious about this. You know, in procurement, we talk about outsourcing things, right? What do hotels outsource? But personally, what is one tiny, could be annoying daily task from your life that you would outsource?
So there are a lot of things in my life that I've automated, like scooping the cat litter. That's something
Ooh.
that is now automated where I don't have to do it every day. So I like that. But I'd say one thing that I would outsource, and I know we have the ability to do it with like Uber Eats or whatever, is the question, what's for dinner? So I could really make just about whatever I wanted to, but the question of what that is the one that I wish I could outsource maybe.
Okay. A really good cook, you say?
In another life, I do things. In another life. I told you I'm a food and beverage guy.
No,
So
you are. You know what, though? We're going to have you and our guest today throw down because she makes some good pizza. Can you make pizza, Dorien?
I can make pizza. Let's do it. A little Iron Chef activity. Let's do it.
Yes. That would be a great show. Our producers are probably saying, yes, yes, yes. So mine would be, I would like a glam squad, right? Some mornings I wake up, you're looking a little rough. I gotta look good for the camera for this. I've got to look good for our clients. And how amazing would it be if I could just have a glam squad come in, handle my hair, handle my makeup, make me look my best. That would be
Melissa,
mine.
I don't think I believe that. I think you wake up looking just like that. That's how I see you. You wake up,
you know
and
my
it's just like,
spouse, so you can have a conversation. My spouse will give you the honest answer.
That's so great. Well, in our last episode, we explored how global procurement is evolving and what it takes to scale hospitality operations across regions.
Yes. Today, we're going to continue the conversation focusing on leadership, talent, and how the procurement function is changing the future.
And helping us break it all down is our esteemed guest, Molly Preston, Senior Vice President of Procurement at Pyramid Global Hospitality. Molly, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again, Melissa and Dorien. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and Dorien,
pleasure. Absolutely.
I'm all down for the Iron Chef pizza.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I am so looking forward to it. You two can throw it down. I'm happily going to be trying anything you two cook.
I'll be the judge.
I'll be the judge. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do want to ask you what I asked Dorien a little earlier. So if you could outsource one thing, one task from your daily life, what would it be? Because I don't think it's going to be cooking. I don't think it'll be making pizzas.
Well, I'm a mom of 3 boys. The thing I would outsource most is laundry. Oh, I hate laundry. And there's so much of it. I'm like, how many clothes do you need to go through in one day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I had in mind is when I was growing up, did you watch the Jetsons?
Oh, yes.
The robot and the button you push to make meals. So when I grew up, I was a little disappointed. That wasn't something you got when you turned 18 and went into adulthood. I'm still waiting for the laundry folder, I'd love a little bit of that action. Yeah.
You know, Molly, you have little ones that will become medium ones. And I think that they can turn into your laundry folders.
I love that. Yes. Let's leverage them. Absolutely.
To get into it, let's talk a little bit about career. Like when you reflect on your career so far, what's one lesson or piece of advice that really stuck with you and continues to shape how you operate and lead today?
Yeah, I love that question. I actually have two things that are my North Star. The first is really never to design anything for operators without understanding their day. If a process looks good in the boardroom or in our like review committee, but fails at 6 a.m. during the breakfast rush, it's broken, right? And they're not going to use it or implement it. And so my leadership philosophy has always been respect the reality of the work. And that lesson has never failed me. The second leadership philosophy that I've always gone by is lead with kindness. You never know someone's true circumstances. You never know the burdens that someone may carry, what kind of personal things are going on in their life. And so I always lead with getting curious instead of critical, and always be kind.
Wow. Molly, I have to tell you that whomever you mentor or lead, they are so lucky to have you. Lead with kindness, understand the operation, right? Using the analogy of, or not even really an analogy, but the example of it works in the boardroom, but not at 6 a.m. during the breakfast rush is so important. And it just shows that you understand the whole life cycle of hospitality and the people, the heart within it. And I always think, one thing that someone had told me to be successful is create your own board of directors, your personal board of directors, and pull them from different areas of life, right? And so I truly hope that you are on multiple people's board of directors, because I think you've got a lot of great insight to bring.
That is so kind of you. And I love that perspective of the personal board of directors. That's
yes, I can't take credit for it. I heard actually a colleague say it, and it really resonated with me. And I started to put together my own board of directors. So you and I, we've been in the hospitality industry multiple years, probably multiple decades of years.
That's right.
I mean, we did bring up the Jetsons earlier, right?
That's right. It's been
we've actually had the opportunity to work with multiple generations, right? The boomers, Gen X, millennials, which is near and dear to my heart. I've made fun of myself before. I am a geriatric millennial. The Gen Z coming up, right? We're starting to see a lot of Gen Z in leadership now. And with Gen Alpha, I think the oldest Gen Alpha is turning 16 this year, which means they're going to be doing their summer internships. And so you get all of these different perspectives in hospitality, which I love. But in what ways do you see the next generation of hospitality leaders similar to or different from the way you were when you were starting out?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so I do have some little ones. My oldest is 11, and I certainly got started having kids later in life, so I don't want to mislead anyone as to my youthfulness. But my son, who's Gen Alpha, is keeps me young and with the youthful knowledge and terminology. So I do appreciate that about him. Really, this next generation is incredibly purpose driven. They are so tech savvy. I grew up with no phone. I was almost graduated from college when I got my first cell phone. Right?
Yes.
We had a computer at my home. None of my friends did growing up. My favorite game was this like computer typing game my dad got us to learn typing skills.
I thought you were going to say Oregon Trail.
I loved Oregon Trail. Yes, I loved Oregon Trail. I actually found it for my son. He couldn't believe that we played that. It's amazing to me the tools and reason how far we've come in the tech world and how tech savvy this next generation is. They're unafraid to ask the why, which is a strength. Some generations or people that we work with might be offended by that. I'm excited by it. Maybe because my Gen Alpha son is continuously asking the why, so I'm used to it. But I believe for myself that we need to be tied to a place where we truly belong. And so identifying for all generations and communicating in ways in which they understand and what sticks with them, how they can become and how they belong within our culture and organization. So the ways that we were leading before aren't going to continue to mesh as we see these newer, younger generations coming into our fold. I'm also a huge fan of internships. You mentioned that earlier, and I've almost always had an intern, and that's really helped my perspective, especially developing initiatives that are rolling out to our properties, getting a fresh set of eyes, and even the inexperienced eye really helps with perspective.
Yeah, the inexperienced eye can kind of help catch things that maybe have historically been done at a property or in corporate, but then also break it down from a non-hospitality, like seasoned context, right? Because there's a lot of why that may not be understood by an intern. And so just questioning just the broader scope of whatever it is just, I think that's incredibly powerful. I so agree with you on the power of why. I do. I think that might even be a book. If not, Melissa,
Let's do
we got to
it.
do it. We got to do it.
I want to jump in on this because asking why, my closest friend, he's a curator and he's a physicist, and he has put together a system for kids to learn about science. And one of his big things is we tend to forget, because we live in an age of information, that with the internet and AI, we think it has all the answers, but we forget that we were the ones that gave it the answers. And
That's
so
right.
when you think that everything's available, people stop asking why or how. And so who's going to be the next person to ask a question that changes everything? So I love that you brought that up. They're asking the why. So thank you for that.
And so with that, I have a question for you, Molly. So we talked about like interns and, asking the questions why and maybe being able to deliver something from an extra hospitality standpoint. But drilling into it, where do you see the biggest knowledge or experience gaps are kind of emerging today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I truly believe that the gap isn't capability, it's context.
Mm.
Many people haven't lived through the downturns and supply disruptions or margin pressure the way that prior generations did. Our younger generations went through COVID, but they experienced those not in a business setting like many of us did, right? And that experience builds judgment, not just knowledge. And so I think that our responsibility is to share that context without gatekeeping, to accelerate their learning instead of expecting time to do the work for us. So we're really the individuals that can help expedite that knowledge management, that knowledge growth path for our younger generations. And we should jump in and do it, not be afraid, I have met people in the past who want to hold all of their knowledge themselves. They don't want to share. I had to learn it myself, and so you have to learn it yourself.
Mm.
But that's not going to get us from, A to Z. That's going to make the growth and development process so much longer for the hospitality industry. And so opening up our, not holding information so close to our chest, opening it up and sharing with these younger generations will really expedite the learning path, that innovation path. They're able to use their technology, their tech savvy knowledge, the things that they've learned that make them so great, and our knowledge, and create something even better for society, to your point, Melissa, and hospitality.
Okay. That is such an insightful take. And it goes to the fact that we're all learning at all times as well, right? We have to adjust, we have to pivot. And, from a mentorship standpoint, what do you think industry veterans need to better understand about this next generation so they can truly engage and motivate and develop them?
Yeah, so they are not less committed. They're just differently motivated. They want to make impact, to have clarity and growth, clear and expedited growth, right? And not someday. They want it now. They want it now. And if we listen instead of label, we'll realize that they're asking the same question that we once did. Does my work matter? And does it matter here? And that's, when we answer that honestly, that engagement follows.
That particular one has been one that I've been kind of wrapping my hands around as I engage. I've teenagers, so as I engage them, sometimes I look at how they perceive the world and how they kind of interact with it from the perspective of, expedited success, right? And I think that success is hard earned and hard won, and it takes time to actually build up to that. But I think that you hit the nail on your head when you said, like, not gatekeeping. And I'm not talking about this in terms of my kids now. I try to give them all of the knowledge I have. But in terms of in the industry, not gatekeeping the knowledge, right? Because we're supposed to stand on one another's shoulders to, get to Z. And when we gatekeep it and you don't allow the person behind you to stand on your shoulders to peek over the hill, well, then you start at A all over again. And like you said, it can really lengthen that growth and development process. I do have, we do have one more question for you. And it's about the future of roles like the role that you're in. And as the landscape becomes more global, more tech enabled, how do you see your role, the role of a global procurement leader, evolving over the next few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. All these, I thought you were going to toss me some softballs today. That's great. These modern procurement leaders, we are translators. We're becoming translators between data and operations, global strategy and the local reality. And so technical skills matter, right? Don't get me wrong there, but mindset matters more. It's like the skill versus will, right? Systems thinking is incredibly important. Empathy for our operators, putting ourselves in their shoes, comfort with ambiguity, the ability to influence without authority. And these are things that our procurement leaders of the future, they're not going to succeed by controlling decisions. They'll succeed by designing systems that guide better ones.
It reminds me of something that I heard myself say one time because I said it now that I'm thinking about it. But it's like when you design a framework for your leaders to utilize, as a corporate, strategist, it allows you to be an architect, right? Instead of a firefighter. And there are times where you go in and you have to save the day, or you have to kind of extinguish these problems, but at times that shouldn't be necessary, with just a thoughtful path that's very considerate of what our operators and what leadership has to do, considerate of the corporate goals. And when you put it all together, when you're the architect, you really are able to build something really good instead of, trying to save something from being burned down.
I love that, Dorien. I love that. Thank you.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for joining us. This conversation could go on for forever, but I think we have to put a button in it now. Again, thank you for joining us. I appreciate, how procurement sits at the intersection of strategy and culture and innovation and people, right? And Molly, you're a people person. So definitely appreciate you joining us here today.
Absolutely. I mean, from global expansion to talent development, it's clear that procurement really plays a critical role in shaping the future of hospitality.
Well, thank you both so much for having me.
Absolutely. We got to do it again. Would you come back? You should come back.
Absolutely. You all are the best.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, with that being said, we'll see you next time on Meet in the Lobby.
Thanks for meeting with us today. Interested in becoming a member of Avendra's procurement services? Scan the QR code on the screen or visit us at www.avendra.com to inquire. To learn more about Avendra International and the latest hospitality news and trends, follow us on LinkedIn at Avendra International. Meet in the Lobby is a production from Avendra International. Special thanks to our executive producers, Dorien Murphy, Melissa McCormack, Corey Moriarty, Eleanor Waddell, and Lindsay Garbacik, and our production partners, Market Scale. To learn more, click the link in the description.